TEP production. Giving out instructions. I just keep it intact, this is a fact, right and exact, I won't step back. Admiration is the feeling that inspires your brain to make you gain self-knowledge, not go insane. I'm Satan's antagonist, acknowledge what I speak. I cannot be duplicated cause I'm born unique. Brother Kareem told me if I want it, I gotta take it. Kareem told me if we need it, we gotta make it. Nasir just said stand up and be a man. You're planning to fail if you fail to plan. Keep your circle tight, know your plight, fight with all your might. Study hard, stay in shape and everything will be alright.
This beat is slapping, before I make it happen I just wanna ask, may I rise higher with fire, made brighter than May, sharp lines, may climb and rhyme and may timing like sirens, may my thoughts may spray as I sway, may play with the day, may each bar may spark from the dark, may making the arc, may I shift, may gifted with riffs, may lifted no myth, may move clean, smooth in between, may carving out the scene, may words guide my glide as the tide, may ride on the inside, may minds free, may deep in the key, may shape in the sea, may I shine, may prime in my rhyme, may throw in the sign, may break norms, may storms in the red form, may lightning is born.
Let's go.
I don't know how I got here. I just know I'm never going back. Just when I thought things were already crazy, it gets worse.
I'm back.
Quan?
Sapphire struggles to deal with her husband's alleged betrayal and coming to terms with Quan being alive after thinking he was deceased. Devante tries to keep a level head while dealing with family issues and unexpected disloyalty. Memories of Dre enters Devante's life in a way that he would have never imagined.
Fire Part 2, the finale.
Get your copy of Fire. It's definitely a must-read. If you enjoy hood books, this one is it. Just like the title of the book, it's officially Fire. Get it on Amazon, paperback or Kindle.
Peace. This is The Enemy's Public. I am Bro.Nasir. Hope everyone's enjoying the evening. This evening, we're going to go over Corrupt to the Core, the Grifter in Chief, corruption at its highest. I'm not going to waste any time. I want to get right into it. Share my screen, and we're going to get right into it.
For President of the United States, and we are going to make our country great again. You know, we're at 18 trillion now. We're soon going to be at 20 trillion. According to the economists, who I'm not big believers in, but nevertheless, this is what they're saying, that 24 trillion, we're very close. That's when we become a country that's unsalvageable.
He sits on a throne made of fool's gold. A crown of lies is all he holds. Empty pockets light his parade, but the crowd still cheers for the charade. King of the grift, he takes and he takes, splitting his tails, leaving truth in the way. The poorer they are, the louder they sing. Hail to the thief who would call himself king. He built his castle on shifting sand.
land with paper walls and a sleight of hand. Promises crumble like dust in the air. Yet they bow, they kneel, they don't seem to care. A golden cage, a hollow prize. They see the con but close their eyes. King of the grift, he takes and he takes, spinning his tails, leaving truth in the way. The poorer they are, the louder they sing. After the thief who would call himself king.
Get my new book, Grifter in Chief, and everything else you need to protest the orange felon at ProfessorPry.com. For months now, we've been auditing Donald Trump's finances to find out how much he's profited from the presidency and how much he's stolen from taxpayers so far. Throughout his life, he's stolen from nearly everyone he's met, from contractors, the government, banks, investors, charities, and even his own family members during his father's funeral. We went through 79 years of financial records and court documents to track down over $8.4 trillion of transactions, billions of which went to the Trump family during his presidency. I realize that auditing financials and accounting doesn't always seem exciting, but throughout this story, you'll start to notice not only why Trump is so evil, but you'll start to realize we are all the ones who allowed it to happen.
Well, he may have a hit show right here on NBC and plenty of money in the bank, but Donald Trump's hotels and casino resorts are in deep debt to the tune of nearly $2 billion.
The casinos make less than 1% of my empire.
Time and again, government officials at the federal...
Starting off as a businessman, robbing Peter to give it to Paul.
State and local level let Trump get away with murder. On the very rare occasions he was held accountable, someone else paid the bill, and Trump still made a profit. His entire life, he's had no consequences for anything, long before becoming president.
And yes, together, we will make America great again. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.
But as reporters said ever since the Watergate scandal, follow the money. With Trump, the money tells the story of his life better than anything else. And that story begins in 1945.
This is the year he was born, 1945.
Donald Trump's mother, Mary Ann Trump, was an immigrant from Scotland, and his father, Fred, was an immigrant from Germany. Together, they had 5 children, the 4th child being Donald Trump. The family was constantly in legal battles, long before Donald was born.
That's why when people say that people are not inherently evil, this proves that some people are inherently evil and crooked.
Not only because Fred was a real estate developer, but in 1927, Fred was arrested for being a rogue member of the Ku Klux Klan at the Memorial Day Parade in Queens, New York. Just 2 months before Donald Trump was born, Adolf Hitler was pronounced dead, and World War II was winding down in Europe, but heating up in the Pacific Theater. When he was born on June 14, 1945, Donald Trump was already a millionaire, thanks to his father and a real estate deal with the city of New York. It was a deal barely anyone would know existed until 2021, when the contract was canceled. The Trump family controlled the use of ice skating rinks around the city, the Carousel in Central Park, and the Trump golf links at the Ferry Point Golf Course in the Bronx. New York.
Listen to how much money these things, the aforementioned, made. Listen to how much they were paying for the operations of these things.
New York City reportedly paid Donald Trump $17 million per year for the use of these areas.
$17 million per year. for the use of the areas for 76 years. Do the math.
It was only after Trump committed treason by inciting an insurrection on the US Capitol in 2021 that New York City abruptly canceled this contract. This means for 75 years, Trump's family was bringing in $1.2 billion. When he graduated from high school, his father, Fred, lent him $10.6 million, 9.6 of which Donald admitted to in a sworn deposition in 2007, and the remaining million Trump later revealed in 2015.
My father gave me a small loan of $1 million. I came into Manhattan, and I had to pay him back, and I had to pay him back with interest.
But we cannot find any records of these loans being paid back at all, and turns out that small loan was $10.6 million. So when Donald went to the University of Pennsylvania and graduated in 1968, it wasn't like he was starting with nothing. He had a pretty good amount of investment to continue his father's legacy. To be fair, we found evidence that his father did pay for his...
A legacy of crooked business dealings and wickedness. His father's legacy. And he probably surpassed his father's legacy with crooked business dealings and wickedness. We see what's going on today.
$1,097 tuition to the University of Pennsylvania. While many have speculated that his father might have bribed someone to get his son into the school, there was no huge sum of money that we can find to prove this ever happened. On the surface, it appears Trump got into college by his own intelligence. Shortly after graduating college, in 1979, Donald Trump started construction on his first large real estate project. He set out to build the Trump Plaza Hotel and Casino in Atlantic City, New Jersey. But construction would take more than $220 million, and Trump didn't want to put any of his own money into the project. So he partnered with Harrah's Entertainment, which operated several casinos across the country. They provided $220 million to construct the building and paid Trump $24 million in what they called a construction management fee. While
basically to put his name on it, that's what they paid him that money for.
Trump never put any of his own money into the construction that we can find records of, Harrah's agreed that Trump would get half of the profits by just letting them use
half of the profits for letting them use his name, and he put not a dollar into the project. That's insane.
His name on the building. The next year, in 1980, a real estate company in New York City filed a lawsuit claiming they worked for Donald Trump but were never paid. A judge ruled in their favor and put a lien on Trump's properties for $1 million. Even after a court order, Trump reportedly never paid them, and the court never seized any of his property.
See, we know the origin of him defying law and court orders. This goes all the way back before he even fathomed the possibility of running for any office. This is from the beginning, and nobody seemed to check this type of behavior. He got a court order to pay people money that he owed them and still didn't do it. But he got away with it.
To pay for this $1 million order. Back in Atlantic City, Trump hired a cabinet builder named Edward Friel Company from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. They were in business for at least 3 generations and were well positioned to take on a large project. So Donald hired them to build the wooden bases for slot machines at his Trump Plaza casino. After completing the job, Trump never paid them a penny, leaving them on the hook for over $400,000 of materials they supplied to the casino. The cabinet builder sued Trump and won, but Trump continued never paying them a penny. After years fighting in court to get this money, in October 1989, the cabinet builder filed for bankruptcy, with the founder's grandson.
Businesses actually failed and went bankrupt doing business with Donald Trump. A long history pattern of just wickedness and crooked dealings.
Saying Trump hits everybody. According to his father's financial records, in 1980, Donald Trump received a payment of $90,000 from his father's trust fund.
That is one ugly looking family.
That same year, Trump hired an air conditioning and heating company in Plainview, New York, for work on his properties. After the job was completed, Trump never paid them. The company then sued for $75,000 and won in court, but Trump still refused to pay, and a lien was put on his properties. Again, the court never seized any of his property, and the HVAC company has yet to be paid a penny.
See, the liens were serving as a pacifier to get the people to stop, asking for their money and crying about their money that they more than likely needed because they had to suffice themselves and their family. But Donald Trump never paid them, and they didn't lien enough. Evidently, they should have seized some of his property until he paid the people that he owed.
Penny. In 1981, Donald received another payment from his father's trust fund for $214,605. In May 1984, he opened the Trump Plaza Hotel and Casino in Atlantic City, New Jersey. This casino would never be profitable, with much thanks to Donald Trump himself.
It'll take some time before everybody gets organized. It's very nice, but I'm disappointed.
The expectations of what else might come from this development are a lot lower. The casino industry has done little to reduce unemployment or to improve the quality of life for most people in Atlantic City. Another hotel can only worsen Atlantic City traffic. Congested streets around the casinos are becoming an all-day, most of the night problem for people who live here.
1 year after opening that first casino, Trump purchased the Hilton's casino for $320 million of his own money, calling it the Trump Castle. It was only 10 blocks away from the Trump Plaza and cannibalized the plaza's customer base. Harrah's Entertainment was so upset with this move, they sold Donald Trump their half of the original casino for $220 million and lost $24 million on the entire project. Across town, Resorts International was building a new casino called Taj Mahal, and Trump wanted it for himself. As any business person,
he swore that was the eighth wonder of the world and that it was his idea. He built that hotel himself. But the hotel was already under construction, damn near complete, and it was sold to him. It wasn't his idea, but he swore it was.
Would tell you, owning 3 of the same type of business on one boardwalk is pretty stupid. But for a millionaire who didn't have to put up any of his own money, it was worthwhile because to him, it was free. Donald Trump fought with talk show host Merv Griffin for a controlling interest in Resorts International, but ultimately lost. Merv got Resorts International, a company that has grown to over $9.9 billion in profits last year and has $42 billion in assets, while Trump got the Taj Mahal Casino, which was still in construction. Taj Mahal was just 12 blocks away from the Trump Plaza, which means his 3 casinos on the boardwalk.
Three casinos that are blocks away from each other. It's mere stupidity because they're competing against each other. And if you have that many casinos in such a close proximity, it's going to fail miserably.
We're all within 2 miles of each other, cannibalizing each other's business the entire time. Again, Trump did not have the money to complete such a large project, so he got private investment.
So first he said, I'm talking about banking institutions as to how he's going to finance it, not these junk bonds, which are ridiculous. Now, you want to guess how he financed it? Junk bonds. Swear to God, literal. He then, after saying that, went and financed it with junk bonds that had a 14% interest rate.
Basically, you let a private company borrow your personal money and they pay you back with interest. Junk bonds are high risk, but they're also high reward, so you can stand to make a lot of money fast. Trump sold over $675 million in junk bonds at a 14% interest rate. This means he now owed $769.5 million just for Taj Mahal's construction. To be fair to Trump, after the casinos were built, he tried his best to get people to come and spend money. He even called the Taj Mahal the 8th wonder of the world. But still, casino tables went empty, and not nearly enough money was coming in the door. These lenders then came looking for their money, and the casinos went bankrupt for the first of many times. To satisfy these junk bonds, Trump ordered his casinos to take on even higher interest rate loans. Basically, he was taking out a bigger loan to pay off his smaller ones, and he kept doing this over and over, compounding the amount owed. A casino analyst at the time wrote that the Taj Mahal would need to bring in over $1.3 million per day just to pay the interest on loans, an amount no casino in the world has ever made. It was doomed from the start, especially considering all three of his casinos in Atlantic City only brought in a combined total of $58 million that year. After the Taj Mahal and the castle missed their November debt payments, Fred Trump sent a lawyer to the castle to buy $3.3 million in chips, giving his son a short-term loan.
That's terrible for a casino to earn such a small amount of money. $58 million a year for a casino, that is terrible. The fighters that fought in those casinos made more than that.
The Casino Commission later fined the castle $65,000 for this illegal loan. In the early 1990s, Trump went back to bankruptcy court again and narrowly avoided financial ruin by shifting the risk to stockholders and making the casinos public. Over the next decade, while other casinos worldwide made billions in profits, Trump's casinos in Atlantic City went bankrupt again. The casinos all posted losses each year in the millions, but still paid $300,000 to Trump to transport high rollers on his personal jet. Basically, investors were paying Trump to bring in high rollers, and Trump was pocketing a salary of over $1 million per year, no matter how much these three casinos lost. Eventually, the casinos went bankrupt for a fifth time. Two of them were demolished, and Taj Mahal was sold for pennies on the dollar. Reportedly, none of his investors ever made their money back, let alone got a share of the profits. After the entire Atlantic City venture was completed, Trump owed over $3.4 billion to investors and the government. Meanwhile, he profited millions in Atlantic City. Skipping ahead to 1990, Donald hired a company called Atlantic Plate Glass Company for work on one of his properties. Again, when the work was completed, Trump never paid them, and again, they sued him for the contract worth $1.5 million. Rather than losing in court again, Trump's lawyers offered them a settlement of 30% of the original contract. After long negotiations,
How are you going to offer somebody 30% of the original contract? 30% of the original contract. That's not even half of the money that you owe a person.
Trump agreed to pay them 70% of the original contract, meaning he only paid $1 million.
That's not even good enough. If you're making that kind of profit, or if somebody completed your project, all those windows, all that glass, and they only get 70% of the agreed upon money for the work that they did.
$50,000, and he still got a $450,000 discount on brutal manual labor at his properties. That same year, the New Jersey Casino Control Commission released a report that detailed Donald Trump's properties in their state, 2 residential towers, and 3 casinos in Atlantic City. In that report, the commission outlined 253 subcontractors that Trump hired but never paid in full or on time. Some of these contractors went bankrupt as a result of never being paid for these large projects. The final amount Donald Trump still owes these 253 contractors is $69.5 million. In 1991, his father Fred sold shares of Trump Palace condos to Donald at considerably less than he purchased them. It was all in an effort for Fred and Donald to get a tax write-off that year. In 2024, the court ruled this to be fraud against banks, insurers, and others. Donald Trump was found liable for $355.
You know, Bernie Madoff went to prison for a lot less a lot less than what Donald Trump did. Bernie Madoff went to prison for a lot less than this and died in prison. I mean, he should have, but what I'm saying is Donald Trump belongs right where he was for the fraud and the money that he stole from people. He belongs in prison too.
$1 million in disgorgement, which is a legal remedy that forces someone who profited from illegal or wrongful acts to give up those ill-gotten gains to the government. They also found him liable for $100 million in interest, since that $355 million would have accrued interest since 1991. After the court's decision, Donald Trump never paid the $455 million fine. So by the end of 2024, the court fined him another $45 million for failure to pay a court order. Trump still has yet to pay any amount on this, and taxpayers are still owed more than $500 million. As his father was getting older, Donald Trump knew each of his 4 siblings would be getting a large inheritance after their father passed away. In anticipation of this, Donald took out loans from each of his 4 siblings, totaling $30 million. However, when his father passed away in 1999, Fred only left all 5 of his kids $20 million total, meaning each child got $4 million each. But Donald already owed his other siblings $7.5 million each. We cannot find any evidence of this money being paid back to his siblings, so Donald Trump apparently stole from his own family over his father's grave. In 1998, he formed the Donald J. Trump Foundation, a nonprofit Trump said was meant to help people. From its formation in 1998 to 2008, Donald Trump donated $8.4 million to this foundation. However, the nonprofit only distributed a total of $2.8 million of this money, but not for its intended use.
I talked to tax experts who said they've never seen anybody do anything like what he's done in the last few years, which is use the money in his charity to basically pay off the legal settlements of his for-profit businesses.
The documents also show Trump's foundation wrote a $100,000 check in 2007 to the Fisher House, which provides homes to injured veterans and their families, to settle a lawsuit filed by the town of Palm Beach against his Mar-a-Lago club. Trump's foundation also sent $158,000 to the charity of a man who sued in 2010 for withholding prize money after he scored a hole-in-one at one of Trump's golf courses. In another instance, Trump's foundation paid $10,000 at a charity auction in 2014 for a portrait painted of Trump. It was the second time Trump used foundation funds for a portrait of him.
In 2018, the government found evidence that Trump misused the foundation's money to pay for his own personal expenses, his business, and political purposes. Basically, Trump got a tax write-off for donating money to a charity and then used that charity's money to pay for his business. The foundation was forcibly shut down by the government, and Trump was ordered to pay New York State a $2 million settlement.
So he was donating money to himself and then using it to suffice his businesses. The charities was charity, I guess, he was the charity that he donated to. Corrupt to the core.
While many people believe this court order banned Trump from ever operating a charity again, the truth is much more frustrating. Donald Trump is not officially banned from operating a charity.
Donald Trump operating a charity that he's donating money to. This misappropriation of funds and money laundering.
Again, even in New York State, where he was fined. Instead, any future charities he runs must be audited more frequently. It's a slap on the wrist when you consider he was still able to profit millions after funneling money through the charity. In 2004, Donald Trump began hosting a TV show called The Apprentice on NBC. The show ran until 2017 and paid Trump a total of $427.4 million. This is where Trump would get a majority of his fame. and the ability to market himself as a great businessman. I would argue this show would later allow him to run for president and win on a platform of running the country like a business. A year later, in 2005, the U.S. Department of Labor published a report that Donald Trump and his companies were cited 24 times for violating the Fair Labor Standards Act for not paying his employees minimum wage or overtime. It is unknown how much the government fined Trump for these violations.
This means that Donald Trump was paying his employees less than $5.15 per hour. This is back in 2005. He was paying them less than that, and then wasn't paying them overtime also. $5.15 per hour. Been a crook all his life.
Or if he ever paid them.
Since going into real estate, his wealth, it's gone up and down over the years, but he always seems to manage to get back on top.
What we do know is Trump made a lot of money that year. While he was not paying his employees minimum wage, he reported to the IRS that he made $48.5 million that same year, after all expenses were paid. But this was before the tax overhaul. So back then he paid $38.6 million in federal income taxes, 79% of his income that year. But don't worry, he gets this money back a few years later. According to the IRS, Donald Trump filed his taxes again in 2006 and 2007, paying an additional $31.5 million. When you look at just 2005 through 2007, this adds up to Trump paying $70.1 million in federal income taxes. But in 2008, Donald Trump filed a tax return claiming he lost over $700 million in 1 year. As any business person would tell you, losing so much money in 1 year is genuinely hard to do. And as Judge Judy would say, it doesn't have the ring of truth to it. And any accountant would say, 1 year's losses mean nothing to the previous year's profits. But Trump thought he was special, so he sued the IRS, claiming he should be entitled to get that $70.1 million back from his 2005 through 2007 taxes to cover his 2008 losses. If any other company or business owner went to court for this same reason,
only a self-entitled bastard will make this argument, and only a numbskull idiot will hear it and then agree to it.
our case would be thrown out before going to trial. But Donald Trump was eventually awarded the $70.1 million in a refund. Plus, the IRS was ordered to pay Trump $2.7 million additional for interest, with the court claiming the $70.1 million was just a loan that would have accrued interest in those 3 years. Not only did Trump get more than what he asked for, but the court decided he should get back his state and local taxes as well, totaling another $21.2 million. This means Trump got a tax refund in 2005 through 2008 for $94 million. In 2007, Donald Trump hired a real estate broker named Jennifer McGovern to help him with getting a property. After the sale was completed, Trump owed her $298,274 in commissions, but he never paid her. She eventually sued him and won, with a judge ordering Trump to pay, but it is unknown if she ever got reimbursed for any of this money. That same year, a dishwasher named Guy Dorsonville, who worked for Donald Trump, filed a lawsuit alleging Trump never paid him time and a half for overtime hours he worked in the past 3 years. He also alleged in the lawsuit that Trump failed to keep proper time records of all of his employees in an effort to swindle his way out of paying them for time they worked. Trump eventually settled the case out of court in 2008, agreeing to pay him $7,500. It was a small price to pay compared to the class action lawsuit that could have easily happened if other employees saw how much time Trump stole from their paychecks. In 2008, a law firm in New York City called Morrison Cohen LLP defended Trump against a construction contractor who claimed to do work for Trump but was never paid. Defending against that lawsuit cost more than $500,000. Most businessmen would simply pay the contractor rather than spend $500,000 to defend against paying them and still be ordered to pay them anyway. But you're forgetting that Trump operates under a different set of rules.
Everything he do is narcissistic and ego driven. Everything.
Not only was he ordered to pay the contractor, Trump also never paid his own law firm either. So his own lawyers then sued Trump for their legal fees and won, but Trump still never paid either of them. A year later, in 2009, Trump hired another real estate broker named Ronna Williams, who worked for him from 2009.
And this is why I tell my people, this man has proved himself time and time again as someone who is untrustworthy. For our people seem to think that he give a damn about us and what he's doing is on our behalf. All I'm saying is just live and watch you learn.
To 2012, helping him secure real estate deals. Even though she worked for him for 3 years, she never got paid a penny and later sued Trump in 2013 for $735,212 in unpaid commissions. Trump later settled with her out of court for an undisclosed amount of money. 2010 was quite possibly the biggest scandal of all for Donald Trump, as one of his companies went through a very public legal case. Remember in 2005, according to his federal tax returns, Trump made over $152.7 million that year. Well, a major part of that was Trump University. In May 2005, a man named Michael Sexton dreamt up an idea to create a business class to teach students how to be a real estate developer or a business person. And he thought, what better name to put on this service than Donald Trump?
Trump University don't have no accreditation to teach people, not one accreditation to teach people, but was charging people tuition and not providing a service for the money.
He went to Trump looking to pay him a royalty fee every time a student signed up, but Trump wanted to be the principal owner with 93% controlling interest. Again, Trump never paid a penny into the project, but wanted to make 93% of the profits. Immediately, the New York State Department of Education notified Trump that his courses were in violation of state law for using the term university without a license to operate as an accredited school. They offered no college credit, no grant degrees, nor did they ever actually grade or test any students to see if they learned anything at all. Records show 7,611 students signed up over the years for the course.
I think the biggest step towards success is going to be sign up at Trump University. We're going to teach you about business. We're going to teach you better than the business schools are going to teach you. And I went to the best business school. We're going to teach you better. It's going to be a shorter process. It's not going to involve years and years of your life. It's going to be less expensive. And I think it's going to be a better education.
6,000 of those students paid $1,500 each for a 3-day course. And over 1,000 of them paid anywhere from $10,000 to $60,000 per student. These higher tiers promised a photo op with Donald Trump himself, but instead got their picture taken with a cardboard cutout of him. Trump said in a commercial for the course,
and these are all people that are handpicked by me,
but later said in a sworn deposition in 2012 that he never even knew who the instructors were. By May 2010, things were looking grim for the company. An investigation began into Trump University at the Consumer Protection Division of the Texas Attorney General, which at the time was Greg Abbott. The investigation quickly found that Trump swindled Texas residents out of more than $2.6 million. Funny enough, Greg Abbott was starting to think about running for governor at the same time, and to show his support, Donald Trump donated $35,000 to Greg Abbott's governor campaign. Then the investigation into Trump University was immediately over. They later claimed the ending of the investigation had nothing.
Gregory Abbott sold out for a measly $35,000. Sold all those people out who Donald Trump swindled money from.
To do with the $35,000 donation to his campaign, but admitting it would be against FEC regulations. In an effort to get out of legal trouble, in June 2010, the company changed its name to the Trump Entrepreneur Initiative, or TEI for short, and finally stopped bringing in new students. It would later close entirely in 2011, but not before getting the attention of even more law enforcement. On August 24, 2013, New York State filed a $40 million civil suit against Trump, alleging he used illegal business practices and false claims. Trump likes to claim these investigations were political, but even Florida started an investigation into Trump University a month later in September 2013. By pure coincidence, their attorney general at the time was Pam Bondi. She announced they were considering joining New York in their lawsuit against Trump.
And what's Pam Bondi's job now? Attorney General for the whole country.
Trump. And just 4 days later, the Donald J. Trump Foundation donated $25,000 to her re-election campaign. Suddenly, Florida's investigation was over. It would later take 3 years for a complaint to be filed with the IRS to investigate this as an illegal donation. Even after an exhaustive investigation where the IRS found this to be illegal, Trump was only fined $2,500 as a penalty. Later, Pam Bondi would join Trump's administration in 2019 for the first impeachment trial. There were also 2 class action lawsuits filed against Trump for this business, and Trump's lawyers eventually settled both of those cases out of court in 2017 for a total of $25 million. But by then, Donald Trump was president, and there's a different set of rules for him. It was later revealed that billionaire Phil Rufin, who owns Treasure Island and Circus Circus casinos in Las Vegas, paid Donald Trump $28 million right as this settlement was being made. But you should know, Mr. Rufin claims this was for back fees related to Trump International Hotel Las Vegas and not Trump University. So even when Trump finally gets caught red-handed and a court finally holds him accountable, someone else apparently pays the bill, and Trump still made a $3 million profit on the settlement. The most frustrating part of all was revealed in October 2014. Remember, Trump's courses were meant to teach you how to be a great business person. They charged up to $60,000 per person to show you how to succeed in business without really trying. But in 2014, a New York judge found Trump personally liable for operating the company without ever filing for a business license. At no point did any of Trump's lawyers file for a business license for Trump University, despite bringing in $44 million. In the end, Trump paid
$44 million in tuitions, and nobody learned anything. Just straight up stole the money from them, and nobody learned anything. The so-called school didn't even have no accreditation to even be teaching, no license to even run a school. But they got $44 million, and no one learned anything.
$25 million in settlements, $62,500 in bribes, and still profited over $40.9 million. Moving on from Trump University, in 2012, another law firm in Virginia named Cook, Hayward, Lee, Hopper, and Feehan sued Trump for $94,511 for their legal fees and won, but he failed to pay. In 2013, Donald Trump got into business with the federal government of the United States. The General Services Administration, sometimes abbreviated as GSA, is in charge of all construction projects in Washington, D.C., and they signed a contract with Donald Trump where they agreed to pay $250,000 per month to the Trump Organization for the next 60 years. In return, they would rent the old post office in Washington, D.C. It was a taxpayer-funded deal worth $180 million. In 2015, we were able to acquire copies of not only Trump's personal tax returns, but his many companies too. He claimed to pay $134,000 in charitable donations that year and paid $707,000 in federal taxes. But you should also know he brought in more than $53.6 million that year. That same year, he made this now famous speech announcing his candidacy for president. What becomes even more interesting is if you look at his companies, and Trump has many of them to shuffle his finances around in. These include DJT Holdings, Holdings Managing Member, LFB Acquisition, Acquisition Member Corporation, and more. We found all of their tax filings for 2015 through 2020. While on the surface, many of them seem normal, there were two that stood out to us when you finally put their filings side by side. First of which is DJT Holdings LLC. From 2015 to 2020, their gross revenue climbs higher and higher, but their cost of goods sold stays the same the entire time. The same goes for LFB Acquisition LLC. When their gross revenue jumps up and down drastically, their cost of goods sold stays the same, but that's a giant red flag to financial auditors. When you're selling more products or services and making more money, you need to buy more product to sell, so your cost of goods sold goes up with your revenue. Then when business slows down and you're not selling as much anymore, your cost of goods sold goes down too. There is almost no business in the world whose cost does not increase with more sales, but we cannot find any records of these companies being audited by the IRS for these red flags. In 2016, we would like.
This just shows the wickedness and how crooked the government is. These federal agencies that's supposed to investigate him or bring him to justice. This shows just how much, regard these people have for the taxpayers' money. Now, people go to prison for all kinds of fraud that is a lot less than what Donald Trump's doing, but people end up in prison. Like entertainers that owe a few $1,000,000 end up in prison. Tax evasion and not paying their taxes and not paying their bills, but they end up in prison for it, federal prison for it. Donald Trump hasn't been held accountable for anything that he's done. Since I believe Donald Trump, the first thing Donald Trump ever said when he first started talking as a child, I guarantee it was a lie. I guarantee his first words were lies.
Would like to mention that Trump has claimed to donate over $1.1 million to charity that year, but you should also know that he brought in over $29.1 million and got a tax refund of $402,718. That same year, it was revealed by USA Today that over the past 3 decades, Donald Trump has been sued over 3,500 times after not paying contractors he hired at his properties, including some of the lawsuits we mentioned earlier. But 2016 was a big year for Trump as he was running for president and won in November. For a lot of politicians, running for office is more lucrative than actually winning or being in that elected office. To prove this is a system-wide issue and not just with Republicans like Trump, let's look at the liberal side first. When Representative Ilhan Omar, who serves Minnesota's 5th Congressional District, was running for office in 2019, her campaign paid a political consulting company named E Street Group LLC a total of $2.7 million. What makes the story interesting is the fact that E Street Group is a company solely owned by her husband.
That's the crazy part, constantly pointing out the corruption of other people. I'm not saying that she's not corrupt. I don't know. But this man has been corrupt for a long time, not paying his bills, having people construct buildings for him, owing people in the millions, getting court orders to pay people. Judges are ruling against him, and he just totally defying court orders. And he wasn't held in contempt one time and arrested. Let one of us not show up for court for a damn traffic ticket, and they're gonna put a warrant out for our arrest. And this dude get to get away with all this. It shows you how crooked the system is. The system is corrupt to the core.
According to FEC regulations, it is perfectly legal to have your family members own a business that profits from your campaign. It is also perfectly legal for the candidate and their spouse to collect a salary during the campaign because running for office becomes their sole job. What's not normal is for the candidate to be so obscene with it. During his 2016 campaign, Donald Trump was proud to report that he brought in over $8.5 million from small donations and $2 million from other Republican fundraising sources to his personal business as income. These finances were reportedly never used for his campaign, but went directly in his pocket. None of these funds
Taking campaign funds and pocketing the campaign funds and not using it in his campaign. Just totally wicked.
Funds went to his wife or children. Instead, $10.5 million went directly to him as the candidate. According to Donald Trump's official website, he was hosting 5 rallies per week running for president from this 2015 announcement to November 2016's election day. This totals 360 rallies across the country. During a campaign, the candidate or their committee is responsible for paying the town or the city they're visiting reimbursement for expenses. For example, police have to work overtime beyond their normal duties to ensure everyone at a political rally is safe. Towns have to pay for road crews to control traffic, some cities have to pay for a building large enough to accommodate a large crowd, and so on. According to financial records of dozens of these towns and cities, Donald Trump has yet to compensate any of them for their expenses, and taxpayers were forced to pay an average of $125,896 every time Trump came to town. This resulted in a final bill in 2016.
He's coming to town at the expense of the taxpayers. Corrupt to the core.
Of $45.3 million. During the campaign, Trump was also dealing with yet another lawsuit. This time, 48 servers in his restaurants were suing Trump Miami Resort Management LLC for failing to pay them overtime after they catered a special event for his campaign.
Now, his servers at his restaurant cater event for him. Cater a damn event for him. And he don't pay them. They work at the restaurant. They were asked to cater a special event for him, which would be overtime. They worked it, and he refused to pay them. Now, restaurant workers don't make no damn money. They make less than minimum wage and rely on tips, even at upper scale restaurants. If no one's in there who are high rollers and people who are really spending money and not tipping, servers, waiters, waitresses, whatever you want to call them, they don't make no money.
Eventually, Trump settled the lawsuit and paid 47 of them $800 each, and one employee $3,000. Donald also hired 2 painting contractors that same year for his Doral Golf Resort in Florida, but never paid them. The 2 contractors sued Trump and won, with a judge ordering Trump to pay them the $30,000 he owed, but Trump never paid. The contractors went back to court, and the judge ordered his Doral Golf Resort, worth $149 million at the time, to be put in foreclosure and sold at auction if the contractors were not paid their $30,000.
Donald Trump, more than likely, called his bluff, called the judge's bluff, still didn't pay the little money that he owed. See, he tried to judge, call the judge's bluff. Okay, you're going to seize my properties. You're going to put a lien on my properties. Let's see you do it. That's his mentality, because he was never held accountable in his life. To this day, never held accountable. All the way back from 1945, June 14th, 1945, where he was born. He should have been held accountable for being born. Somebody should have held him accountable.
But Trump never paid them, and his Doral Golf Resort remains open to this day. Basically, Trump called the judge's bluff, and the judge never followed through on his threat. In 2017, Donald Trump took office for his first term as president, and here is where the real money starts to flow. Sure, every president in recent years has made a salary of $400,000 per year and been happy with just that. But according to his federal tax returns, Donald Trump collected $16.2 million that year, paid $284,718 in federal taxes, and got a $4.4 million refund. But here is where foreign governments really start to be exposed. In May 2017, Donald Trump finally paid off a loan from LP Daewoo, a company with ties to North Korea.
Cheap ass electronics, Daewoo. Cheap ass car, cheap ass electronics. But they're quick to put the name American on something to legitimize it and to get the people to rally behind it. You know, I agree with my brother Old Dude said, make Americans great again, but the America part is not happening. If you make Americans great, America will be great. But then he's not concentrating on that. He's concentrating on making his constituents, you know, as people who told a lie and cover up his corruption. That's what he's doing. Kash Patel is partying, flying all over the place, and partying with damn Olympic hockey teams. The FBI director is partying with the damn Olympic hockey team. And we wonder why investigations are not being conducted correctly.
During his 2016 presidential campaign, Trump accrued nearly $20 million in debt from their company for use on his campaign. The FEC later reported that Trump never mentioned this in his campaign's financial disclosure filings. This is just the first of many times that foreign governments were found to directly finance Donald Trump's campaigns, interfering with our elections. As he entered office, it's normal for a president to do minor redesigns of the White House to reflect their personal style. But Trump ordered the U.S. government to pay $2,500 for decorative palm trees at his Mar-a-Lago property in Florida. In his first year in office, Trump threw a...
Now, those, if you're going to do anything modified property, it's supposed to be like the White House. You modify it or you renovate it to your liking. But you don't order something and send it to your private property and have the taxpayers pay for it. That shit's illegal. Those trees were supposed to go on the grounds of the White House, not his private property.
Private dinner.
Any one of us would go to jail for that.
For 30 of his private guests and highest campaign contributors. Normally, a president pays for their own meals like this, but Trump plays by a different set of rules. Worst of all, our Congress allowed it to go unchecked. The total bill was $7,700, meaning each plate was over $256, and U.S. taxpayers paid for the entire party. Another night in the White House that year, Trump ordered the government to pay for over $1,000 of liquor so his personal staff could have a party. During his first and second year in office, the governments of China, Turkey, Malaysia, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and United Arab Emirates spent a combined total of $700,000 at the Trump International Hotel in Washington, D.C. to influence his decisions.
Now listen to this. Just listen to this.
Trump has said on multiple occasions that the White House is a downgrade for him, which is why he likes to spend a majority of his time.
And what's crazy about how he do things, when he travel, he will have Secret Service traveling with him, of course, and he will have Secret Service staying in his hotels when he travel. They'll stay in his hotels, and he'll charge them, the Secret Service men, for staying in his hotel. So he makes a profit from the Secret Service man that's traveling with him because they stay at his hotels. That has to be illegal.
At his Mar-a-Lago property in Florida. This is also where a majority of his money comes from. From 2017 to 2020, he visited his own properties 547 times, including 145 trips to Mar-a-Lago. During these trips, he spent a total of 669 nights at his own properties during that first term in office. You would assume any reasonable person would do anything they could.
That's damn near half the time. That's damn near half the time. Then at 700 days, that's almost 2 years. It's almost half the time he spent at his own properties as opposed to in D.C. at the White House.
To ensure they had proper security in place. Many business people and leaders donate everything their security team needs because without that team in place, their life would be in danger. In order for the president to be safe, a team of 300 Secret Service agents and 75 additional staff are assigned to accompany the president on any trip. But when Trump goes to his own properties, he forces these 375 staff members to stay at his own hotel.
375 staffers. He forced them to stay in his hotel and he charged them. But they're his help.
By federal law, Secret Service are only allowed to spend up to $201 per room per night for hotels. And any other business person in that situation might just donate the rooms because it's his life they are protecting. But
they're only allowed to spend, whatever they said, $250, money that's reimbursed. If you go over that, you're responsible for it. You're allowed to spend $250. If you go over that, you're on your own.
But Trump was charging them $1,185 per room per night. He claimed that the increased amount was due to the majority of his money comes from. From 2017 to 2020,
I had to run
he
that
visited
back.
his own properties 547 times, including 145 trips to Mar-a-Lago. During these trips, he spent a total of 669 nights at his own properties during that first term in office. You would assume any reasonable person would do anything they could to ensure they had proper security in place. Many business people and leaders donate everything their security team needs because without that team in place, their life would be in danger. In order for the president to be safe, a team of 300 Secret Service agents and 75 additional staff are assigned to accompany the president on any trip. But when Trump goes to his own properties, he forces these 375 staff members to stay at his own hotel. By federal law, Secret Service are only allowed to spend up to $201 per room per night for hotels. And any other business person in that situation might just donate the rooms because it's his life they are protecting. But Trump was charging them $1,185 per room per night.
That's damn near $400,000 just for them staying there one night. Almost $400,000. 375 people staying there one night. He charged them $1,185. That's damn near $400,000 for that one night. And that's his people that's protecting him. Wouldn't be me.
He claimed that the increased amount was due to increased demand. When he goes to Florida, foreign governments and MAGA fans want to stay there too, and Secret Service are taking a room away from other paying customers. But the person in charge of finding them rooms is hired by Donald Trump.
Listen to his logic. Just listen to the logic that he used of why.
So his property is the only option. Even if 375 staff members doubled up in rooms, it still means they required 188 rooms for 669 nights at this increased rate. For rooms alone, this meant more than $149 million of income to Trump's family. But those rooms are only for Secret Service agents and other staff. Trump needed a room for himself as well. Rather than staying in his own hotel for free, knowing he's making $149 million down the hall, Trump wanted to rent his own suite out to himself. Federal reports show that Donald Trump charged the U.S. government $2,600 per night for his own suite. This added another $1.7 million to his.
Listen to the logic this man uses. Renting his hotel suite to himself and charging it to the American taxpayers.
Family's wealth. Those Secret Service agents and staff needed way more than just an empty room, though. On any trip, those 375 staff members are given a certain amount of money per day to cover their food and other trip-related expenses. This is called a per diem amount. For federal workers, per diem is set at $68 per day per employee. But Trump wanted some of this money too, so he made his restaurants and staff available for all 375 federal employees. In total, that meant an extra $17 million to the Trump family. You might have also heard that Donald Trump likes to play golf a lot.
Yeah, emphasis on the filthy, old dude. Emphasis on the filthy.
During his first term in office, he spent 261 days playing golf, which is one round of golf every 5.6 days, or about 18% of his time as president. When you consider the president's salary is $400,000 per year, this means we paid him $286,000 to play golf. To be fair, Trump was making a lot more money from his Secret Service while playing golf, though. To make sure he was safe on his own golf courses, the Secret Service was ordered to rent golf carts from the Trump organization. However, regular golf carts just didn't perform.
They have to rent them. They're his employee and protecting him, but they have to rent. See, just using the American people and the taxpayers as his own damn piggy bank.
Fast enough in emergencies. Secret Service was ordered not to buy brand new ones, but instead upgrade Donald Trump's golf carts so they can go faster to get Trump out of harm's way if needed.
I like your cart because it always goes extra fast.
These carts are very fast.
They're very fast.
My carts are very fast.
Congressional reports later revealed these rentals and upgrades cost over $500,000 per round of golf, and Trump played golf 261 times. In his first term alone, this meant a final bill of $134.8 million. You might have also heard that taking bribes is against federal law, and taking money from foreign governments in exchange for something in return is called quid pro quo. But the U.S. Oversight Committee, led by Republican Congress members at the time, revealed that during his first term in office, the Trump Organization, or Trump himself, received cash donations from over 150 foreign actors to buy influence over his decisions as president. The U.S. Congress reported that from 2017 to 2020, this totaled over $15.6 million of bribes to Donald Trump. On top of that, Donald Trump himself admitted that his companies reported over $1.6 billion of outside revenue during his first term. But that's far from the only revenue he made that year. 143 members of Congress also visited Trump properties a total of 361 times, taking with them a small staff of employees every time. All of them needed rooms, per diem, and events. This created another $2.6 million of revenue for Trump's companies. Congress members were not the only ones trying to curry favor with Trump at the same time. Special interest groups, political parties, and foreign governments paid the Trump Organization to hold 33 events at his properties for political influence during that first term. Financial experts estimate this allowed Trump's companies to profit over $660,000 or more. According to Trump's federal tax returns from 2017 to 2021, he received his $400,000 a year salary for being president. He promised his supporters that he would donate every penny of this salary to nonprofit organizations, and we actually did find evidence of him keeping that promise for the first 3 years. However, certified public accountants, or CPAs for short, ran the numbers and realized that making donations of that size would gain a lot of money in tax refunds. By giving away $400,000 of taxpayer money, Trump received $148,320 of that back every year. So it wasn't like Trump just wanted to help a charity. He also enriched himself at the same time. Near the end of 2018, Donald Trump was in a financial debate with Congress. He wanted Congress to pay $5.7 billion for a wall on the border with Mexico, a wall Trump promised his supporters that Mexico would pay for in full before getting elected. But Congress refused to pay for the wall, and this stalemate caused the U.S. government to shut down for 34 days. The U.S. Congressional Budget Office reported this shutdown cost taxpayers over $11 billion from December to January. After months of negotiation, by February 14, 2019, Congress agreed to pay $1.375 billion for 55 miles of steel fencing along the border. The next day, Trump declared a national emergency to fund the remainder of the $5.7 billion anyway. Taxpayers were left with a bill of over...
Got the money, but never completed the wall. Just talked about it real strong and stern, but never completed it.
$16.7 billion and a border wall that was never completed. Shortly after this government shutdown, Donald Trump filed his taxes for the previous year. In 2018, Trump made more money than he did in ages. He profited over $36.7 million that year. After tirelessly running through his financials for months, I thought, finally Trump pays his fair share. But no. Not only did Trump only have to pay $2 million in federal income taxes that year, but he got nearly a $10 million refund. This means he was only taxed at 8.5% of his income. Keep in mind, middle-class Americans, like most of us, are taxed at 20% of our income for federal taxes, and another 10% for state and local taxes. Trump only paid 8.5%, and somehow still got a $10 million check out of it. It's so infuriating to think that tax laws across the U.S. are so friendly to the rich by feeding off of the middle class and the poor. We constantly hear...
The working class would be in jail if they tried this. They would be in prison. They'll be in a federal court well on their way to prison if one of us tried this.
Stories popping up in the news like Amazon.
Amazon paid no taxes federally on $11.2 billion in profits in 2018. In fact, Amazon actually had a negative federal tax rate last
year. You hear all these commercials about the IRS coming after people and people making deals with the IRS because they owe $20,000, $30,000 to the IRS. And they call this tax agency to help them pay their bills and everything. But you don't see this when it comes to these people. These people that they'll just, especially if you're a politician, but in particular people in a certain tax bracket, they could just straight up steal our money and everybody else's money and don't go to prison for it. IRS don't even come after them for it.
year, Amazon receiving a refund of $129 million last year, which works out to a negative.
Amazon not paying taxes, no federal taxes, but receiving a $100 million damn refund when they didn't pay no taxes. That's crazy.
Negative tax rate. Now consider that the poorest 20% of American households paid 1.5% federal tax on average a couple of years ago. Okay. Amazon, with $11 billion in profits, paid a negative 1% tax rate.
These systems are designed and sometimes even written by the wealthy to hoard as much money as possible. That's why so many rich executives give Trump meaningless awards, because he delivers results for them. And a meaningless gift is cheap in comparison to the taxes they would have to pay. This is best exemplified in December 2018, when Trump proposed and passed the new tax law. Billionaire friends of Trump would see an increase in their refunds, but the US Congressional Budget Office said that Trump's new tax law would cost American taxpayers $1.9 trillion. In 2019, these tax laws allowed Trump to line his pockets with even more cash. After bringing in over $2.9 million that year, he got a $10.6 million refund. But I would argue the most amount of red flags I've ever seen on a federal tax return comes in 2020. According to Donald Trump's filings, he lost nearly $4.8 million that year, but somehow paid $271,973 in federal income taxes. Any accountant can tell you that you only pay taxes if you make a profit. So this alone is ringing alarm bells already. But in a year that he supposedly loses 4.8,
he filed a fictitious tax refund and received it.
$1 million, the federal government.
If you did business and you didn't make a profit, you lost money, and then you put, that's how much you paid, over 200 grand to receive a refund. That's fraud.
Government gave him a $13.5 million refund. This means his federal tax rate was negative 5.67%. Interestingly, Donald Trump continued telling his supporters that year that he was donating his entire presidential salary to nonprofit organizations. However, on his 2020 federal income tax return, Donald Trump admits under oath that he made $0 in charitable contributions that entire year. It's important for us to note that a majority of the money that Trump gets from the federal government, foreign actors, and other revenue sources doesn't come to him directly. You might see Trump claiming he only made $2.9 million in 2020 and wonder where all the Secret Service money went. But remember, that money goes to Trump's organizations, companies, and gets spread out over multiple different accounts around the world. In 2020, Donald Trump was running for president again. Running for office meant another 5 rallies per week across the country. Again, Trump was responsible for reimbursing towns and cities for their police, road crews, and stadiums. But again, he never paid. Instead, he claimed that because he was president at the time, all of those stops were something small towns should be happy to pay for. The total bill ended up being $130.9 million. After the November election was over, Donald Trump lost by over 7 million votes. But this time, he never gave up the idea that he won the election, because frankly, his ego could not handle the loss.
We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election.
You would assume a millionaire like Trump, who just profited so much from the presidency, would be able to afford some legal fees to fight something that he genuinely believed was his victory. Instead, yet again, someone else came in and paid the bill for him. This time it was the Deutsche Bank from Germany. You should know Donald Trump lent money from them in the past, and he defaulted on their loan.
This is what you call corporate interest and any agendas that they have, public or private. This is how you get it done. You pay a politician and they get it done for you, wherever agenda it is. It's called lobbying.
loans, never paying them back a penny. But still, in November and December 2020, they lent Trump another $300 million with a 12% interest rate so he can fight the election results. The senior banker at Deutsche Bank resigned shortly after, citing their objection to lending Trump the money after he defaulted in the past. But to date, we cannot find any record of Trump paying them a penny for the $368.7 million he owes them. On January 6, 2021, Donald Trump gave a speech in Washington, D.C., ahead of Congress certifying the votes from the 2020 election. Overwhelmingly, U.S. voters decided Joseph Biden would be our next president, but Donald Trump was adamant that the election was stolen from him.
We will never give up. We will never concede. It doesn't happen. You don't concede when there's theft.
Trump's team filed 64 lawsuits alleging voter fraud. Trump's own team withdrew 14 of those lawsuits in court. Judges dismissed 20 of them for lack of evidence, and 29 of them failed after being fully tried on the merits of the case. The final of those lawsuits did find 6 people across the country voted twice in the 2020 election, but all 6 of them were registered Republicans who claimed to vote for Donald Trump twice.
Now it is up to Congress to confront this egregious assault on our democracy. And after this, we're going to walk down, and I'll be there with you. We're going to walk down. We're going to walk down anyone you want, but I think right here, we're going to walk down.
And he didn't take his punk ass down there. He didn't go down there. He sent them down there to do his dirty work and ended up in prison. And when he became president for the second time, he gave them all a pardon. And a lot of them was rearrested for committing crimes. And some of them were even killed by the police, some of the people that he pardoned.
To the Capitol.
The crowd was even heard chanting to hang the vice president, Mike Pence, who they just got done voting for. Donald Trump then went back to the White House. His crowd went to the Capitol, and Trump joined most of us around the world watching our television as 2,500 of his fans attacked Capitol Police, and his own vice president was evacuated from the building seconds before the rioters stormed the chambers of the House. Trump supporters destroyed much of the Capitol building that day with over $2.7 million of damage. 2 pipe bombs were placed at the Democratic and Republican National Committee headquarters, but luckily never exploded. Still,
our Secret Service, anybody came near there, we got laid the hell down. I just started laying them down.
Trump refused to send the National Guard in to stop the attack because, frankly, it was his army doing the damage.
This is now effectively a riot. 1349 hours declaring it a riot.
Officer Brian Sicknick was assaulted by Trump supporters that day.
Officer Brian Sicknick, he's actually from my area. He just got a job out there in D.C. He's actually from South River, New Jersey, like up the street. Go up Route 18 through East Brunswick, turn to your left, you're in South River. That close, probably about 3-4 miles from where I live at. This guy grew up at.
That day, and died the next day on January 7th from his injuries. 4 other officers died by suicide in the days following the attack, citing their loss of purpose. Their life's work was to protect the Capitol, and their president just sent a mob to overthrow it. Even though Donald Trump continued saying that he backs the blue and supports the police.
That's the number one cause of death for police officers. It's not you and I. It's no one outside of their rank and file. The number one, the biggest threat to a police officer are themselves. They die by suicide. more than they're killed by people. So they should be looking at each other when they're talking about they're going home and they're scared. They should be looking at themselves and each other.
None of those 5 officers received any workers' compensation for their deaths. There was one rioter who was shot and killed that day named Ashley Babbitt. Capitol Police heard on their radios that pipe bombs were left at the DNC and RNC headquarters. They all saw and heard rioters holding deadly weapons and threatening police lives. Barricaded against a door, another rioter storming the Capitol broke a window in a doorway. The rioters could be heard yelling that Capitol Police were aiming guns at that door.
And they should have been aiming guns at that door. If they're doing this, guns should have been aimed at their door. If we had walked up peacefully and didn't break a damn thing, there'll be guns in our face. Not only should the guns have been out and pointed at them, they should have been shooting at them doing this. They should have been shooting at them. They shouldn't have gotten this far inside the building. You put a barricade up and they breached the barricade. Everybody who breached that barricade should have been on their damn back.
After all, their lives were in grave danger, and anything to come would be self-defense in a territory governed by middle ground laws. This means officers have a right to retreat if they can, but also have the legal right to shoot and kill if they are backed into a corner and their lives are in danger. According to the FBI, Ashley began to climb through the shattered window with the help of 2 other people hoisting her up. Critical to the case, she was brandishing a paraforce knife. After repeated warnings, a police officer shot and killed Ashley Babbitt in what even Congress has ruled as the officer not having any choice but to shoot. The Metropolitan Police Department of D.C. and the United States Department.
He didn't have no choice but to knock her down off that damn door, to shoot her.
Department of Justice investigated the incident and determined the shooting was lawful and within department policy. The officer was cleared of any charges. On April 16, 2021, Ashley's family started a crowdfunding campaign on the extremely far-right website GiveSendGo for help financing a wrongful death lawsuit against the Capitol Police. It raised over $462,000, even though the officer was already cleared of any wrongdoing. On May 19, 2025, the U.S. government agreed to pay Ashley's family $4.975 million in a settlement, even though Ashley was the one.
That's a travesty and a miscarriage of justice. That is a miscarriage of justice. They shouldn't have paid her family nothing when she was there breaching that door, breaking down the door and then breaching it. The cop did what he was supposed to do, because as far as they was in that building, that was too far. You put a barricade up and they're breaching the barricade, storming the building. Nah. If that was us, our people doing that, it'd have been a massacre. It'd have been blood everywhere.
One who threatened a police officer's life. According to the U.S. Government Accountability Office, the January 6th riot, orchestrated and led by
They're breaching walls, climbing up walls. They would have shot our ass off them walls.
Donald Trump, cost taxpayers $2.7 billion in total. To overturn the election in his favor, you might assume Trump would have paid for the rally on January 6th. But there were actually 4 dark money groups that fronted the bill for the attack. These 4 include the Women for America First, Rule of Law Trust, Tea Party Express, and Turning Point USA, which was led by Charlie Kirk. First, let's start with who financed these dark money groups right before the attack. Most notably is Sheldon Adelson, who was the CEO of Las Vegas Sands. He gave $90 million to these dark money groups ahead of January 6th, but he died of cancer 5 days after the attack on
And may he rest in peace.
the Capitol. Richard Uline, who owns Uline Packaging Products, gave $4 million. Other donors include Vital Pharmaceuticals, who makes energy drinks, Agro-Industrial Management, which makes food processing equipment, America's Export Corporation, Semchi Rice Products, and 3 sugar manufacturers, including FanDuel Corporation, New Hope Sugar Company, and Osceola Farms. But financing these dark money groups, pushing the big lie, doesn't mean these companies knew they were funding an attack of this scale on our capital. They knew they were funding bad things, but might not have known they were funding treason on the United States. The direct money comes from even darker shell organizations. Turning Point Action, Charlie Kirk's organization, not only paid for 80 coach buses to transport Trump supporters into and out of Washington that day, costing more than $80,000 or more, but they also donated $1.8 million to an even darker money group called the Conservative Partnership Institute, which worked for months on social media to promote spam about the election being stolen to a targeted audience. Another big donor was Julie Jenkins Fancelli, who is the heir to the public supermarket chain. She gave $300,000 to Women for America First the week before the attack. And key Trump campaign fundraiser Caroline Wren facilitated the $3 million payment to the National Park Service for the permit required to hold the rally. Caroline Wren even listed herself as the VIP advisor for the entire event. Charlie Kirk's organization, Turning Point Action, spent another $1 million to hire social media influencers and students to join the attack in order to film and record it.
That is one Eddie Monster looking ass dude, Charlie Kirk.
While it was happening. Apparently, in Charlie Kirk's infinite wisdom, he heard about overthrowing the US government and trying to overturn an election, but his first thought was to make sure they record themselves doing it. His goal was to have these influencers videotape the entire event and provide the footage to Turning Point USA. They would then use that footage to run a nationwide ad, quote, educating millions about the significance of January 6th for Trump. For the record, some of these hired cameramen were tried and convicted using some of the footage they recorded that day as evidence, but Charlie Kirk never went to jail. While the attack was taking place, another 228,000
never went to jail, but you know, he went somewhere that rhymes with jail. He was sent there.
$333 was being spent by American-made Media Consultants LLC, which funneled this money into text messaging the rioters during the event to ensure they kept fighting. Overall, more than $2.8 billion was spent that day trying to overthrow democracy in Donald Trump's favor, but we cannot find any records of Trump himself paying a penny before or after the attack.
I'm going to leave it right here for now and conclude this stream. We're going to have a part 2, and we'll do a conclusion of this stream tomorrow or Sunday. But I want to thank everybody for joining me this evening. I want to thank my wife for watching. She's always watching. I want to thank everybody for coming through. Old Dude, Big Mouthpiece, Shank Rock, Casino, C79, my brother Dre Cobb's music. I want to thank everybody for coming through. And if you haven't gotten your copy of Fire and Fire Book 2, the finale, go to Amazon, get your copy of Fire Book 2, the finale. Go to Books, Angela King James, FYRE, Fire Book 2, the finale. Now, I'm going to play the promo to Fire. Check it out.
I don't know how I got here. I just know I'm never going back. Just when I thought things were already crazy, it gets worse.
I'm back.
Quan?
Sapphire struggles to deal with her husband's alleged betrayal and coming to terms with Quan being alive after thinking he was deceased. Devontae tries to keep a level head while dealing with family issues and unexpected disloyalty. Memories of Dre enters Devontae's life in a way that he would have never imagined.
Fire Part 2, the finale.
Get your copy of
This is Fire, the original book, Fire.
Get your copy of Fire. It's definitely a must-read. If you enjoy hood books, this one is it. Just like the title of the book, it's officially Fire. Get it on Amazon, paperback or Kindle.
If you haven't, get your copy of Fire, Part 2, the finale, on paperback or Kindle at Amazon. The link is in the chat. Get your copy of Fire, Part 2, the finale. Get your copy of Fire at Amazon on paperback or Kindle. Again, thank you all for joining me this evening. Greatly appreciate it. Until next time, this is your brother, the General Nasir. Peace and power.
Production. Giving out instructions. Hey. I just keep it intact, this is a fact, right and exact, I won't step back. Admiration is the feeling that inspires your brain to make you gain self-knowledge, not go insane.